Hey, Mr. Black, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a long time. I hope all is well with you. Hey, now, and welcome to Manifesting with Ari Mac, your spiritual coach with the most, giving you some insight, some suggestions, and hopefully helping you make some better choices. Today, I want to talk about the four things astrology can do for you. Now, I'm streaming live here on my YouTube channel and on my TikTok channel, so definitely make sure you guys are sharing this broadcast. Show me some likes and some loves. I think here on TikTok we may have someone joining us today, and if not today, definitely in the future, we will definitely have somebody come in and share with you some of the things I do um, as a spiritual life coach. But let's talk about the big gigantic elephant in the room: retrogrades. Yes. Thank you for showing me some love, Mr. Black. So appreciate it. So we have Mercury in retrograde that's peaking right now, started peaking yesterday, and will peak till Saturday. So we got a couple more days of this. And what does peaking mean? Well, peaking mean is where you hit the pinnacle of the top of the mountain, and then things starts coming back down. The thing about astrology, and we'll get into the four things in just a minute, is it gives you timetables and information. The stars are real. They're right above us, guys. They don't change. We change. Okay. They're as old as the moon and the stars. I mean, this is not something I make up. This is spiritual fact. And when I started getting into astrology, I was fascinated with the accuracy that it could bring me and my family and friends. So once you understand your chart, like your birth time, your place, latitude, longitude, these all play factors into who you are and the decisions you make. Now, it's a pool of energy. Okay, it's a pool of energy. It's not this is set in stone energy. So you have free will. And I think that's the most important thing you have to remember. You have free will. So you can make a different choice at any time. And I'll give you some suggestions and some ideas and some examples with these four steps. And look for my poster that's going to be coming up. Oh, thank you, sweetie, for sharing. I appreciate that, Sherilyn. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you. Don't forget to download my free affirmations at countlessbyari.com. Because just saying something positive every day, you guys, can also have a huge effect on your mental and spiritual well-being. I know, because when I don't do my affirmations or I start off my day, and I'll share that as we continue with this episode, if you don't start off on the right foot, it is so easy for you to go into the wrong foot. And the next thing you know, you don't have any feet. You're like stumbling and tripping all over yourself and making reactionary choices and just basically flip it out. You're just flipping the fuck out. Then you can't help yourself. Then you're in that dark space and you just want, mm, I want somebody to feel me. And then you just, brimming over for unnecessary aggravation. Astrology can help you, kind of lessen that, but just being foretold. I have on my moon and my stars today. I don't know if you see this. I got on my moons and stars earrings. I am representing the moons and the stars. Okay. And don't forget to tap the likes, guys, and show me some love. I appreciate love because Lord knows I send out as much positive energy every single day to this world because we all have to live in it. Now, with these planets in retrograde, the sun is in Leo, Mercury, the planet of how we think, is in Leo, going against us. Then Venus is in Gemini, Mars is in Virgo. Okay. Then we got Uranus in Gemini. That's not the culprit. Saturn is in Aries going backwards. Okay. And then Neptune, the planet of our dreams, is in Aries going backwards. I'm still getting over a little bit of this cold. And then we got Pluto, the planet that normally rules Scorpio, hidden behind the scenes, things we don't talk about, investigative, sex, all that stuff, in Aquarius, Mr. Humanitarian, Mrs. Humanitarian, okay, detached, air, fixed, also going retro. So if you've been feeling a little bit and you kind of don't really know, you're in the right place. Looking forward to the show every Thursday. Thank you. Thank you, love. Thank you. Miss Lopez there is a VIP, and she has seen the power of this information I'm giving to you guys for free at this moment, because getting into who you are, think of it as a journey into your psyche, not just your spiritual psyche, because we can be spiritually fed and through music, words, thoughts, and deeds. But what you choose to do with that internally, that's where astrology starts kicking in. That's where, if you know yourself and have time to get to know yourself better, you won't be so analytical and so harsh about things you can't control, things you cannot guide. You have to be the example and hold your line, because by holding your line, you're going to create another whole frequency around you. See, spirit is not trying to punish us. They don't need to do that. They don't have time for that. Man, however, has his own personal internal battles with that. And that's your own personal choice. That's why astrology is so cool, because it tells you a lot about yourself that maybe no one else could explain. At least that's the journey that I have had. And I'm telling you, it has been a journey. So happy birthday to all my Leos, all my Leos. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Happy birthday to all you beautiful love muffins, the fiery lioness and Leos of this particular world we live in. There's only one fire sign that's fixed, and that's you, Leo. And you rule, you rock. And we thank you. We thank you for all that you do. And please try not to show your ass in the next couple of days, because you have a lot of challenges just because of who you are. But don't let them take you down, baby, because you're beautiful on the inside. All right. So, the four things that astrology can do for you. Well, first of all, it's your inner blueprint. It's your inner blueprint. It helps you understand why some things affect you in certain ways. It also gives you insight to your divine path. Yeah, like hidden talents that you may have overlooked. I'll give you an example. I had a client who just liked to make ceramics. She was actually very good at it. Time that she was very, very, very little. But nobody told her she could do it. Everybody told her to be practical, go to, go to college, get a job, get a career, start a family, blah, 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 blah. She did all that. But she also had a lot of physical challenges, health challenges. And I personally think it's because she wasn't feeding her soul, because of her position in her moon, in her chart. And she had to admit that she did things for practical reasons, but not for emotional reasons. She would literally cut herself off from her own pleasures because they were not practical. She wanted to be legit. And this is the persona that she put out into the world. This is the image she wanted everybody to see. But it cost her, you guys. It cost her. Because of her time at work, she was in a very demanding field. She didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time with her kids and her husband. She ended up having a lot of gastric issues, which her chart also said why. By the way, she was a Cancer. So Cancers rule the tummy. They're the little crab babies. We just finished their cycle for the year. They have a hard outer shell, but a very soft inner shell. Mm. So on the outside, she appeared to be very strong, but on the inside, she's very, very, very gentle, genteel, very soft, and very easily affected by the different phases that were going on around her. Eventually, I talked her into just taking a ceramic class. Matter of fact, I think I went with her for the first time. It wasn't anything big. It was just at the local, I think the YWCA had a little class for, beginners to kind of play with the clay. She loved it, you guys. Loved it, loved it, loved it. To the point that she started doing it and going to the classes and studying it online and looking into it. And to this good day, okay, she has a little studio in her home. She retired with lower medications, like the doctor couldn't figure out why she stopped needing so much gastric stuff, because as she got into her clay making, founding something for her to self-soothe to create something to keep her mind and body busy, she ended up finding her peace. Yeah. And I think now she works commission with the designer just to create specific things for people in their lifestyle, because she's more of a clay person for home, like potteries and stuff like that. And she didn't want to go commercial. She wasn't trying to sell anything, but because she was so good, she was so good. And I'm saying this because I'm going to talk about the 4 things that the astrology can do for you. But she was so good that she took the notes of her self-soothing with her craft, with her sculpting, that people started telling people about her work, and a designer, a home interior decorator, contacted her and asked could they commission her to do a particular piece. That's spirit, you guys. She got paid to do something she loved in her home, and she was no longer in conflict with the work. She loved the work. She enjoyed what she was doing, and she was getting paid. But it took us a little bit of time to go through those steps to get her to that pathway. And you know what's interesting? As she got into her artwork and started becoming more creative with that, studying it, going to fairs, looking for other people to mentor her, buying different supplies, she made friends because they were interacting on things that she really felt passionate about. And the one thing she always said is that in her workspace, because it was so demanding and so competitive, she really felt like she was an island unto herself. That her company didn't provide the camaraderie. Yes, they got paid. Yes, they got cheddar, quite a bit of it, but they didn't have camaraderie. They didn't make anyone feel at home. And that's one thing she needed for her own soul's journey. And I give you that example because when you know your divine blueprint, when you start understanding better how self realization works, how you digest information, how you take in information, how you work through information, it gives you permission not to be so hard on yourself. I have seen, as we break down the divine pathway in your chart, I've seen people's light go on things that they had been thinking about or feelings they had been harboring, and boom, it just takes off. Like all of a sudden, it makes sense. The pieces fall into the right place, and that's what a blueprint can do for you. Because when you're born, the sun, the moon, the stars, all these planets I'm talking about, right now, someone's being born through that energy. Now, I want you to stop and think about that for a second because I'm talking about blueprints, right? But as of today, right now, at 2, wherever you are, 15, 220, whatever we are, there is an energy coming through birth right now with this particular energy that we're talking about. And it's like a little blueprint. This is their x-ray, so to speak. So when I'm talking about a birth chart, I'm talking about yours. When you think about yours, it's because you're already here. But if you really stop and look at it, it's happening every day, all the time, with some beautiful energy coming through. And I bless all the babies that are coming through. I bless them. Because they're coming through some retro situations, which, honor, 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 blessing, blessing, blessing. And we'll talk about that in an advanced class or in the GAP program, which I'll share what that is a little bit later. So the blueprint is your divine map, like a cheat sheet, okay, that the universe gives you as you come through your longitude, and your latitude starts it. So that's the blueprint. Now, the thing about the blueprint is after you start understanding more about your chart or having someone help you interpret how to understand your chart, it's not just the Mercury, it's not just the Venus, it's not just the Mars, Jupiter. The Venus, Mars, Mercury, the sun, The moon, you can look that up right now. You can put your birthday into any computer and that data will pop up. And there's so many different interpretations, and I think there's a lot of great information on the net, so you can easily Google each one of those planets and get an idea of what that meant for you at the time, that you came down. So information is there and you can validate. Hey, Ms. D, thanks so much for joining the information that I'm sharing. But what happens is, as you start looking at your chart, and guys, you can chime in on this one, it gives you better timing. Yeah, it gives you better timing. Like I've been telling you guys that the Mercury retrograde was peaking, because it is right now. We're in the peak. For those of us who are in the know, okay, basically in a nutshell, we can easily keep that energy flowing by just understanding we're in right now a blockage. Like this retro, things are moving differently. For example, yesterday I was out and about, right? I use GPS when I'm out. God Protective Services. Actually, it's GPS. Everything they told me to do, you guys, I got a block on. The roads were under construction. Usually they say something, usually gives me a little heads up. No, ma, didn't at all. And normally, my friends, when we are coordinating, we're all in sync. Mm-mm. Nope, no mas. So I yielded. I yielded because I already knew this retrograde is in full effect. People were jumping in front of me, which is totally fine because they have that blind spot. I don't know if you remember driving, but even if you look, you need to look all the way with your shoulder because there's a blind spot that your mirrors can't pick up. I said, cool. And by the time I got home, and we had prayer circle last night, I was looking forward to my prayer circle because I needed my blessings. I needed to talk to my people, and we needed to talk to each other. But the timing, see, I couldn't get that upset. Yes, it was frustrating. I didn't enjoy it. It's not something I'd say, yeah, I want to do again. But I understood what was happening around me. So I stayed in the flow. Does that make sense? So once you understand the timing and how it affects you and how it affects others, it gives you that mental balance. So at least you're not falling into the trap of, let's just say, anger and chaos, frustration. Like the one thing you should never do during a retrograde, if you can help it, is to sign any big documents. I know that's tough. I know that's hard. I'm not saying how to do it. I am not that diverse, but I will say the people who I've seen do things during a retrograde, myself included, you've had a harder time because communication wasn't moving forward. It was moving backwards. So that's a part of that timing that astrology gives you, which is that second thing that the universe gives us is timing. Yeah. Timing to know what's the best way to do certain things and timing to know when to sometimes not to do a goddamn thing. Yeah. Because sometimes you just need to be still and just let it pass. Just let it pass. Yeah. Yeah. Dee said we sure did in meditation. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. So timing timing is really important, especially when you're planning stuff. So the number one thing during a retrograde, you can put this down, you can keep this as a gold nugget. Please do not try to sign big major things, especially during a retrograde. I've learned not to do anything if I've learned not to do anything if I can during a retrograde. Yes, because you've learned, D, you've learned. Because energy, when it's not flowing with you, it's flowing against you. So why would you move towards something that right now is not moving towards you? I know people are going to do what they got to do, and Lord knows you have to, move forward. But if you do have to sign something, make sure you research and re-evaluate and maybe have people review several things before you actually sign that dotted line. Because I had a client True story. Who was trying to sign her divorce papers during a retrograde. Actually, she started her divorce papers during a retrograde, and I begged her not to. I strongly suggested against it because it was just the wrong time. It took her 6 years to conclude that divorce. 6 years, because there was misunderstandings, mishaps, things didn't jive. It was just one of those things that it kept snowballing. Now, I'm not saying it should have took 6 years because that's not my call. I'm not judging time. That's not me. But when she started it, it was started under duress. And it took a little bit longer than they ever imagined to actually close it out. Because that's how the universe works, you guys. So during a retrograde, especially Mercury retrograde, it's not a time to push forward and sign and get into big term, long-term situations. Yeah, signing, no signing problems. Yeah, because we've seen it. And I'm sure if I had a percentage, it would blow your mind of how many people have said later, why did I do that? What was I thinking? That's not a good deal. I mean, just because their minds now can see it and put it together. So improving your timing, okay, is a huge point with the way astrology works, because it does give you a heads up. And I find it to be a little refreshing not to be walking around with no compass. I don't know if you've ever been in the forest or gone hiking, but if you lose your direction, and you can, especially when you're going up and down hills, longitude and latitude, it's very easy to become confused and then possibly go in the wrong direction. And if you've ever been a camper, and I'm sure some of you guys have done some outdooring thing, you know how difficult it can get, because when you're outside, you're not protected. You're not protected. You are literally at the mercy of the elements. Okay, so let's just say you are, let's hypothetically, hiking and you lose which direction you came from and it starts getting dark. That's going to affect how you proceed. And let's just say you thought you were going to be there for the afternoon and didn't bring any provisions. I ain't even going to talk about that, but that's a whole nother level of how, when you're not prepared, can go. But that blueprint helps you, and that timing helps you. And it also soothes you guys. I have to say, it's very self-soothing just to know, first of all, you're not crazy. Let's start there. You're not crazy. And secondly, that you do know something and you got to trust yourself on it. Like, really trust yourself, because that's a beautiful thing, to trust yourself. That's the perfect thermometer for long-term success. And knowing thyself, that's priceless. Emotional healing. Let me tell you something. The moon in your chart and how it affects your Mercury and your Sun completely dictates how you behave and how you handle yourself and how you internally deal. I give the example. Someone that's born, let's just say, with a Taurus sun sign, and they have a Leo moon. Then they put their Mercury in Gemini. Well, Taurus, okay, is one of the most comfortable sun signs because it's Earth. And Earth is always grounding, it's always physical. I mean, I get a little jealous of the Earth signs because they can see and touch things, and they have a lot of more practicality about things just because they came down feeling comfortable with the Earth. I mean, this is their planet. So kudos to them. And that's my Virgos, my Capricorns, and my Tauruses. Okay. But that Leo moon, let's just say that fiery moon. Okay. Once again, I said earlier, Leo, fixed sign, fire, ego. It is our pride. It is our image. It is, well, calm Taurus and fiery Leo, they don't always match. Hmm. And then you have a Mercury, which is how you think, you guys. This is how we communicate, how we express ourselves, how we take in data. So when they say there's people mentally ill, there's not no bullshit. I could probably pull some charts to say this is, probably either genius or crazy. I'm not kidding, because it's all in how that Mercury fell in those houses in your chart, and how that person blended that energy. Like, how did they come to, you know, um, understand themselves with that energy? Okay. So when I say that it helps with supporting that emotional healing, baby. And I'll give an example. My Taurus with the Leo, with the Gemini and the Mercury, firecracker, firecracker, and a terrible temper. She's got a terrible temper, and with good reason. She's not a bad person, but sometimes when she gets behind the wheel of the car, because it's action and fire, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And she's been in a lot of incidences because of her fiery tendency. But now, because she's more comfortable with it, or at least understands it, she kind of laughs at herself, because she already knows she's going to have to go through this process of this particular type of energy. And it may make her want to spin and say some things, and maybe, so she keeps herself busy. She works two jobs. Mhm. She's not just sitting around, because she knows herself. Plus, she likes to make money. So it's a double entendre to keep her busy. Okay. But that was her healing lesson. That was her learning how to process that energy. Because when you have a fire, earth situation, and it's different combinations. I have a Sagittarius client with the Capricorn moon. That Sag is belligerent and smart alecky, and that Capricorn is constantly worried or focused on how am I going to do this and what I'm going to do with that. And because she has some other things in her chart, she's a metaphysical diva. She's learned to stay in constant prayer, meditation, and her spiritual rituals that she does with her church, because that is the way for her to channel that healthy way and receive energy in a healthy way. But it took us some time to get to that. Yes, they have the components. Yes, you have the understanding. But when you start looking at your moon and how it plays with your sun and the other elements that come into your being, baby, 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 it is such a joy and a privilege to watch someone self heal and realize their shortcomings. Realize I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't like it. I am not tickle pink. Would not like to do it again, but I'm okay. That's healing. That's that self healing, that energy within you, where you take the blessings of understanding yourself and stop beating yourself up. Stop beating yourself up. Look, negative energy is real. It's real. It does exist, because people have ill thoughts. We have ill thoughts. Nobody's perfect. We all walk around with something going on in our heads. But if you make sure it's going on in your head and you're not making actions and writing constitutions to push that agenda, it's a process to deal with whatever it is that bothers you, however that energy is affecting you. And that's what you learn to honor. I gave the example of the Cancer sun sign person. I didn't give all her chart information because, she was more of the blueprint. But once she understood better about her self soothing and she needed something from an artist standpoint, and it brought her joy, eventually, you guys, it brought her payment. I mean, she gets paid to do this now. What an honor and a privilege. And that's how divine plan works. That's how the blueprint starts. That's how the timing starts kicking in. And then the emotional healings. Because actually, as you tune into self and understand why, you're less likely to be so hard, which can mess up the arteries on the inside. Look, anger goes somewhere. It just doesn't sit and goes, "Oh, I'm gonna hang out here for a little bit and we'll see what happens a little later." No, it has to go through the body. It's still an energy. So learning, just to honor those internal feelings, and maybe even accepting that that's not what you prefer, but that's how you deal with stuff. When you go through trauma, okay, and trauma is, excuse me, water. Trauma sneaks up on you, right? Because no one looks for trauma. We'd all say, "Hey, can I get some trauma today?" No one ever says that. Not one person you will ever hear say, "I would like some trauma delivered." Nobody says it. And that's why it hurts so much. That's why it hurts. Because when it happens to you, it's like a little mark, like a bruise. It'll heal, but it'll still never be the same. Nothing will ever be the same. So even understanding your trauma with the energy that you have, that could be a challenge. But the point that I'm making is being aware of it, understanding yourself, being at peace with the energy that you're creating. That's the alignment, which is the fourth thing that astrology brings you: alignment with your purpose. Let me say that again: alignment with your purpose. What you came down here to do, what you feel comfortable doing. Because you're no longer angry. You're no longer disillusioned. You're no longer blaming anyone. You are actually, yes, your peace is your power. Yes, D, your peace is your power. Because once you have that, let me tell you something. You make the most awesome decisions. You get so clear, even if it sucks, about things you should not be doing. And it's like a magical path starts opening up to new possibilities that you never considered. You may even didn't think was possible. And that's the magic. That's the magic of knowing thyself and healing thyself and dipping into that knowledge that's here. It's available to us. It's right there at our fingertips. Like I said, you can look this up yourself and individually break your own chart down. That's the beautiful part about what the universe is giving us: information, opportunity. You don't have to listen to me. You can do your own homework. And once you get into that divine like wave, and it is a wave because there's energy that's happening. We do retrogrades. Mercury retrogrades at least 3 to 4 times a year, at least 3 or 4 times a year. The bigger planets don't do it as often. That's why right now is so unusual, because they just don't do this. We never, I won't say never. I would not say that speed spirit because I'm not crazy, but it is very rare that you'd see this many, like 4 planets, all at the same time doing this thing. But also, when I kind of look at the world, it's kind of revealing a lot, because everything that's done in a retrograde is revealing in some way, shape, or form. And how we interpret that is up to our individual, wants, needs, and desires. But the opportunity the universe has given us is real and is available to us. Now, I created a program. It's actually something I have already been doing with my clients over the years, but I put it in a format on a weekly basis because knowledge is key. Knowledge is key. Hi, Michael. Okay. Energy begots energy. So in this program, which is called The Gap, that's the nickname we gave it. It's a guided astrology program by me. And the data that I use for my program is the charts that I've studied over the last 20 years. Thanks for the love, you guys. And guys, I have quite a bit of people in my database. Like I have a little bit of sign, every single sign. And I take that data into consideration when I am forecasting, because it is a forecast, like a weather forecast for the week. But I also include affirmations, aromatherapy suggestions, not only for the elements, because I do know how the charts run. So, elements, I include that, and also for the sign itself, so they can compare notes. And I'm very proud. I'm very proud of this program. It's taken me some years to dissect it and put it together. And we're going to grow with this program because I do want to do workshops, retreats for the VIPs who want to be a part of it. The program starts. We have an intro price of $9.99, absolutely pennies, and regular memberships $29.99 a month, and that's less than going to Starbucks once or twice a week. So the Gap, there'll be more information in my bio. But understanding that astrology, oh, thanks, D. Thanks. D says it's worth it. I've seen the results from the people who are actually engaging and working with it. And I've seen them make better choices. And, sometimes that's all there is that you just make a better choice. That's it. You did your job. You made a better choice. You got up today, and there's nothing helping you get up. You don't have to have a machine to help you roll over. You can go to the bathroom by yourself. I know these things sound like they're not a big deal, but there's people in this world right now who cannot do those things. There's people in this world that absolutely have nothing. So wherever you're sitting, be of gratitude. Be thankful because Spirit is giving you opportunity. And how beautiful is this? And if you get a forecast, or should I say, when you get a forecast, man, grateful and blessed. You're right, Miss Olivia. Grateful and blessed. She says, I am grateful and blessed. And guys, just getting into that, it's not easy. I'm not gonna lie. Yesterday was a challenging day from the time I woke up. I woke up late, which I rarely do because I have this alarm on my phone that's so obnoxious that it just irritates me when it goes off. It's just like, stop it. I didn't hear it. I was exhausted. And I had been making candles, so sometimes I get a little caught up and lose space, and. So started that day off running late. Told my very dear friend I was going to take her to the dentist because when you go, they blow your face up. But it was over an hour and a half away, so I needed to be up by a certain time to get to her by a certain time. So literally, I threw myself on the floor, put myself together, and didn't even put no makeup on. I was doing the natural hairstyle yesterday, the natural, which wherever it was, that's where it's at, and took off. Traffic was LA traffic at that time in the morning. And because we were going toward a particular city in Santa Monica, um, it's bottleneck. It gets really tight there because it goes all the way through PCH. And that's just the way it is, just the way it is. But we got through it, and, going back, we had to kind of deal with some maneuvering that way. But this is what you do. Then it was just off to the races. Had to get product shipped, had to take care of some things for my daughter, had to take care of some things for myself. And by the time I got to prayer circle, I was thankful because the energy was real and I knew it was real. I mean, just driving around the city with the blockages that was happening because they were just doing construction or working on roads, or I don't even know. I don't know what the hell they were doing. But I had to just keep reminding myself, yeah, but of course, it's retro, and that kept me calm. It kept me from getting so frustrated because even when I had to stop and people would fuss behind me, they didn't know that there was somebody walking in the street because they were in a scooter type of thing. So they just thought I was just stopping in the street. You know what I mean? It was that kind of stuff going on. And there's nothing you can do about that. It was just, hey, I'm sorry, save a life. You know, give me, I prefer, not to, kill people today. Okay. So as we go through these processes and these suggestions that I'm making to you, hey guys, use them. Follow me. Subscribe. You know, we have products and services that I've developed that really work. And we do things in groups, and also we have individual counseling. But the most important thing is getting that information. Now, if you're listening to this on any of the social medias, you already started saying, hey, I need some information, which is cool as the dickens. Please, by all means, get this information. Take this information. Do something with this information. Because manifestation is totally real. It's totally real. And the astrology, aromatherapy, and affirmations that you use as a coach, that's my specialty. That's my specialty. Because I know once you get that alignment and purpose going, I mean, nothing. Because you decide, am I doing this for myself, which brings me joy, satisfaction, and makes me a better person? Or I'm doing this because I want to please other people, and if they're pleased, I'll be happy, and I'll just keep doing it because that's what I need to do, and I want to make sure everybody else is taken care of, which is noble, but is that true? Are you in alignment with being of service with others? Because that's fine too if that's what you want to do, but be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Are you in alignment with that? Are you speaking that because you truly feel that, or was just something you were taught and you're just regurgitating it, which is totally fine. Regurgitate away. Just be honest with yourself so that you're not pulling energy in that you shouldn't and doing things that undermine you. Because nobody wants to be undermined, baby. So, the four things that astrology can do for you, I'll have some posts coming up on all my social media on this, is that blueprint is real. When you were born, you came down with a special set of very interesting tools. And the timing, it's all about your being aware of the time, paying attention to the time and what's going on around you. Hey Tyson, how you doing today? All right. That emotional healing, that emotional healing comes from learning your blueprint, looking at your timing, and honoring that which is inside of you. Like just honoring it. You ain't got to curse nobody out or say anything. It hurts, it hurts. You cut me, I bleed. If I don't like something, that's just what I don't like. There's nothing wrong with those feelings as long as they're in balance and they're not overwhelming you or underwhelming you and making you make poor choices. Okay? Which leads to purpose. The number one thing I've always seen with astrology is once someone starts finding themselves, they step into their purpose. They just flow more gingerly toward the things they need. And they let go of the things that are just not working for them anymore. You're not longer attracted to it. You don't want it. When you learn yourself, you treat yourself better. It's like once you know something, you can't act like you don't know it anymore. Remember that saying? It is so true. Also, too, at Candles by Ari, we're starting this new program called Food for Thought. And so we're going to be sending out some weekly tidbits for those who are subscribers, along with just some food for some thought, just to think through this. So look for that in your inbox. Comment, give me suggestions, and let me know. Give me some feedback on the affirmations, how they're working for you, and maybe some suggestions on some topics that I can bring to the table. Because I'm always talking to my inner circle, but I want to include you as well. Come on, we just went through thunderstorm praying for my mom and a lot of people. Oh, praying for your family, Tyson. Praying for you guys. So give feedback, and let's create a network, you guys, of positive, beautiful people that we're all moving in the direction we need to move into, and rebuking that stuff which is not of us. Just send it away to its native nothingness. But more importantly, more than anything else, you guys, you have to remember that you are blessed. This is spiritual coach Ari Mac, manifesting with Ari Mac on YouTube. Stay blessed. I'll see you next week. Namaste. Bye.